The Laws of Ascension, Chapter 44, Returning. Lorik spends the next few days riding Nixfang. He focuses on recovering as best he can, so the only spell he casts is Hunter's Vision. The few times they run into monsters, Nixfang takes care of them. Using her thermal fluctuation law, she creates ice spears to kill them. Lorik stores their corpses away for Nixfang to eat later. He eats the food he bought before coming out here. It's pre-made and doesn't need to be cooked before eating, so he eats while riding Nixfang, though she slows her pace a bit when he does so. After recovering and feeling like normal, Lorik decides to start practicing his new law. He starts with his spells and casts Heavy Paw. They've stopped for the night next to a large tree. Lorik started a fire and Nixfang is lying near it. She's still awake and watches Lorik. Once he casts the spell, the magic circle appears around his elbow. The circle is no longer just dark brown. There's a mix of dark gray in there as well. The pattern on the magic circle looks more complex than it did before. The phantom wolf's paw appears around his clawed gauntlet. They connect to each other, both the gauntlets and spell enhancing the other. The phantom paw then shrinks to match the gauntlet. It overlaps, causing the gauntlets to look like they're glowing. The color of the paw has changed as well. It's now a much darker brown than before. I didn't think the soul-bound weapon would affect my spells, Lorik says, thinking aloud. He only cast the spell on one of his arms. The other still has the gauntlet on. Lorik turns to a tree and balls his left fist up. He punches the tree, first without the Heavy Paw spell. The bark splits under his punch, but there's not much else that happens. Lorik then balls up his right fist, the one with the Heavy Paw spell cast. He swings, his arm feeling lighter than before. Just before hitting the tree, the weight of his fist increases drastically. It returns to normal after the impact. The branches of the tree shake from his punch. There's a dent in the wood from his punch, and a piece of bark was launched into his forehead. Nixfang suppresses a laugh upon seeing it bounce off. "Your spell seems to have gotten stronger," Nixfang says before Lorik nods. Unlike before, she's now speaking with her mouth instead of into Lorik's mind. She was able to after growing from Lorik's enlightenment, but not as well as through the mind. She'd get tongue-tied and fumble over her words easily. For the past few nights, she's been practicing. She learned quickly, so now she rarely messes up while talking. After testing his Heavy Paws, Lorik tests Heavy Wolf Bite. He makes it bite the tree he just hit. Like the paws, the magic circle is a mix of brown and gray. The phantom wolf's head is the same dark brown. It bites down on the tree and its fangs dig into it. The wood starts snapping as the fangs pull each other closer. It continues cracking as the fangs go deeper and deeper. Interesting, the gravity keeps pulling even if something stops them. I think it's even increasing. This will be helpful if someone tries to stop them again. Lorik thinks before snapping. The spell disappears, and he tries increased gravity next. A gray-colored magic circle appears on the ground nearby. It's only 3 feet wide and spins slowly. The space inside the circle glows purple, indicating the affected area. Lorik picks up a few rocks and enters the circle. Neither he nor the rocks get any heavier. Lorik steps back out, but keeps half his body in the circle. He tosses both stones up, one in the circle and one out. The one inside the circle only goes a few feet before falling quickly. The one outside only starts falling after the first hit the ground. So it doesn't work on anything I'm holding. I suppose if it did, then my clothes and weapons would become heavy too. Lorik thinks before canceling the spell. He sits next to the fire and Nixfang before thinking. He tries manipulating the law of gravity without a spell. Lorik has no experience practicing this, as the law of the hunt can't be manipulated, so he ends up just staring at one of the rocks he threw while reaching out. "What are you doing, Master?" Nixfang asks him after watching for a minute. "I'm trying to manipulate my gravity law, but I can't seem to get it." Lorik replies before sighing, "Don't try to force it. You're trying to manipulate a natural force. It's not going to be easy." Nixfang says, "What do you mean natural force?" Lorik asks, "When you manipulate a law, you manipulate its natural force. So when you manipulate gravity, you should be taking control of the natural gravity that already exists. For example, when I manipulate my thermal fluctuation law." Nixfang starts before forming a small ice cube next to her head. I manipulate the water in the air and make it solidify. Of course, when I make something bigger than this, I need to supplement it. There's not enough water in the air to create the spears I've been using, so I have to use more soul power to make more ice. She explains, causing Lorik to nod. So I have to manipulate what's already there. He says quietly before trying again. This time, the gravity pulling the rock changes. It starts pulling the rock toward Lorik. It ends up flying through the air before he stops. He catches it before it hits him and smiles. Thanks, Nixfang. That was really helpful. Lorik says before lying down. Nifang lays her head over his stomach before they fall asleep. The next morning, they eat breakfast before continuing toward the capital. An hour before sunset, Lorik realizes he knows where they are. He recognizes it as he used to come here often. Goblins and wolves fight and die here, so bloody flowers grow here. They're a common alchemy ingredient that he used to collect frequently. Now that he knows where they are, he has Nixfang change directions. They would have passed the capital had they kept going the way they were. They set up camp for the night before returning. They could have made it today, but it would have been late at night. So Lorik decides to wait. I can't wait to meet the others tomorrow, Nixfang says while lying next to Lorik. I'm sure they'll be happy to meet you too, Lorik says before petting her. After petting her for a while, he stands up. What are you doing, Master? Nixfang asks. I just thought of something I wanted to try, Lorik says before manipulating the law of gravity. He manipulates his own gravity, decreasing his weight. He takes a deep breath before making it pull him upwards. He keeps increasing it until his feet lift off the ground. He floats a few feet up before stopping. He falls to the ground slightly before increasing the pull. I have to keep a delicate balance to float. Too much and I'll keep going up. Too little and I'll fall back down. He thinks before adding a second gravitational pull to him. He makes it pull him forward, but he makes a mistake. Instead of a weak pull to start, he makes it as strong as the one lifting him up. But he didn't think about how that one's pulling his entire weight up. So he goes shooting through the air head first. He lets out a panicked shout, causing Nixfang to jump up. He crashes into a tree before falling to the ground. He stopped manipulating his gravity in the panic. Nixfang runs over as he groans and gets up. Master, are you okay? She asks worriedly. She's too worried to ask with her voice, so she asks straight into his mind. Yeah, I'm fine, but that's going to leave a bruise, Lorik replies. They walk back over to the fire before lying down. Lorik doesn't practice flying again after waking up. Instead, they eat a quick breakfast before leaving. It only takes an hour and a half to get to the capital. As soon as they get there, Lorik panics. With his communications bracelet broken, he has no ID. Still, he rides Nixfang up to the gates. Since it's so early, he's the only one entering. Others are lined up to leave, but they're split between entering and leaving. So Lorik doesn't wait in any lines. ID. The knight on guard asks as Lorik rides up to them. About that, my communications bracelet is broken and I don't have a physical copy, Lorik says while lifting his left arm up. Do you have any family I can get to verify you? She asks. No, but I have the deed to my house here. Will that work? Lorik asks, causing the guard to think. I'll need to go ask. Wait here. She says before walking through a wooden door. It leads to a building attached to the walls. The knights use it to rest in between shifts at the gates. There are also small cells inside for any prisoners. She comes out a minute later with another knight. He has a scar along his nose and looks at Lorik. He looks at Nixfang before approaching. Is this your familiar? I've never seen a wolf like this, the man asks while walking up to them. Yeah, and I'm not sure what kind of creature she is. Lorik replies, causing the man to give him a confused nod. All right, then let me see your property deed. He says before Lorik takes it out of his ring. The man looks it over before nodding. Then you're free to enter. Make sure to either fix that bracelet or get a physical ID before heading out again. He says, causing Lorik to nod. I will, thank you, Lorik says before Nixfang walks through the gate. She doesn't run but walks to the academy. The guard outside examines his bracelet before letting him in. He only lets him in because he's wearing the uniform. After getting in, Lorik returns to the dorm. He gets off Nixfang and unlocks the door. No one's inside, so he leaves again. I guess we'll just have to go to the castle. But we'll have to go to the front since I don't have a charm for the illusion trees, Lorik says while getting back on Nixfang. Illusion trees? Nixfang asks. They're trees that trick people into leaving. The kingdom planted them behind and around the castle. So unless you enter through the gates, you'll get turned around and lost. Lorik explains before they leave the academy. Nixfang walks to the castle gates and Lorik points the way.